Happy Tuesday. Welcome into 104.5 The Zone. Happy to have you. We got things for you to win today. We got a high school football hero. We got a Monday night football game, Sports Equinox. Last night, did you celebrate? How did you celebrate the one of the few nights on the calendar? There's a couple where there is postseason baseball, regular season football, basketball, and hockey all on our televisions or various streaming platforms all at the same time. It was glorious.
Locked into the Lake Show, of course.
Did you?
Lake Show?
Dalton Connect, 11 minutes, 1 rebound. It was electric. No, I didn't watch a minute of Lakers basketball.
There is no way with all the fun stuff on TV last night. I've watched more baseball in the last week than I think I have in my entire life. This World Series, it's 3-0 in favor of the Dodgers, but it's been fun, man. Jackson, are you a Braves fan?
Not really. I don't really claim a baseball team.
Okay. I can
be a Braves fan if you want me to be.
Well, there's just a lot of sensitivity around seeing Freddie Freeman do spectacular things in a Dodgers uniform, and I didn't know if that hurt you personally or not.
Oh, so you just wanted a personal attack here.
Why else would I be asking about something like that?
It's good to be back, bud.
615-737-1045, the number. Monday Night Football was a slog, though it should have been a lot more fun than it was, right? You had 3 touchdowns between both teams wiped off the board due to officiating or penalties. 2 for the Steelers, 1 for the Giants. What did you make of the George Pickens situation? I wonder what fans thought about that, because he gets the first touchdown reception that he has on the opening drive wiped off the board because Broderick Jones, I think Broderick Jones is a guard for the Steelers.
Yep, former Georgia football player. Also, George Pickens, former Georgia football player.
Georgia to Georgia. Georgia undermining Georgia in that particular spot. So that one gets wiped off by a face mask penalty on an offensive lineman. The second one, though, gets called not a touchdown because George Pickens gets the same foot down twice before. Just a great play by the Giants defensive back to finish through the catch there to shove George Pickens out of bounds. I know they lost the game because of 2 late turnovers by the Giants. Steelers defense doing their part. Calvin Austin doing his part, had a 73-yard return touchdown. He also caught one last night, but they had 2 touchdowns wiped off the board, and that second one by George Pickens was just maddening because if you get 2 feet down, but it's the same foot, that should count as a touchdown, no?
I think I agree. I feel like tapping the same foot twice should count as, although maybe
like the degree of difficulty on what he did was harder than getting both feet down.
I don't know. The body control of getting both feet down is part of what makes an NFL catch a catch as opposed to college, where it's just 1 foot. So I could see it both ways there. But I feel like George Pickens is hardly the story from the Pittsburgh Steelers last night.
Well, I mean, is it Russ? Because the offense was moving the ball fine, and they found the end zone a couple of times. It just got wiped off the board, so they ended up settling for, I think they had 3 field goals in the first half. New York and Pittsburgh both trading field goals basically for the entirety of the first half. But Russ was fine. Like, they were moving the ball fine. They had a run game. Giants defense had a couple of plays. Dexter Lawrence, oh my God. I have so much fun watching him. Just what he did to that Pittsburgh Steelers center last night should be criminal. It should be assault. Unbelievable. He is an absolute menace, and, his frustrations boiling over last night, as was Daniel Jones. I don't think I've ever seen Daniel Jones yell in a football game. But things are not good on the New York side of things. They're 2-6 for the second straight season since Brian Daboll won Coach of the Year. Vibes are bad.
Vibes are just bad across the Big Apple right now. Giants 2-6, Jets 2-6, Yankees about to get swept. Don't know how the Knicks have started their season, but I imagine the focus on football and baseball is not a fun one on New York City sports radio.
Well, they got I watched the opener for the Knicks against the Celtics, and that was not competitive. Boston dismantled them pretty handily. I don't know what it's been since then.
So Russell Wilson has had a quarterback rating of 109 or better in each of his first 2 games as a Steeler. He only did that 3 times all of last year.
Do you know how many home games they've won in a row before we make this about Russ? Because Russ and other veteran quarterbacks have just further entrenched me on my position about what the Titans should do this offseason. You want to take a guess on how many Steelers home games they've won consecutively?
How many?
22. 22 straight at home is such a is such a galvanizing thing to know definitively that you're going to go as a fan or as a player, that you are going to put up your best effort, your best showing on your home turf, that other teams don't come into Pittsburgh and win football games. Certainly not in the last couple of years. So 22 in a row, Russell Wilson being the latest quarterback to come. The fact that Tomlin did that with Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett's a part of that streak. That's wild to me. But your point about Russ, well taken. He looks fine. He's moving around a little bit yesterday. Second week as the starter. Feels more settled.
One or two just phenomenal throws.
Is
phenomenal.
Efficient,
I mean, there was a deep ball down the left sideline to George Pickens that got them in the red zone. That was just an absolute dime from Russ. And he didn't light it up last night, right? But do his first two starts have you saying, Sean Payton, what were you doing?
Oh, you know what? I read the stat wrong. It's 22 Monday Night Football games at home.
Okay. That makes infinitely more sense.
I was like, what? 22 straight at home is crazy. Thank you for the correction. Good job out of the chat.
Amazing how you could just say a stat with conviction and people will be like, oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, I didn't know about the Monday Night Football thing either, but that's a great stat.
But does it make you wonder at all, Sean Payton, what were you doing in Denver? How did Russ look as dreadful as he did at times in Denver?
Well,
and I know it's 2 games. Powder is dry. I'm just saying.
Doesn't sound like it. You're already after Sean Payton.
Powder is very dry. I do think Sean Payton deserves plenty of criticism for everything that's happened in Denver since he's gotten there, but that's another conversation.
Well, shout out Art Smith, Titans legend. Getting it done with a veteran quarterback at the end of his career again. You have a situation, though, with Sean Payton. Here's why it's more visceral and why I'm not going to fault you for giving Sean Payton a little heat there. He's supposed to come in and fix the quarterback, and Russell Wilson, theoretically, is a better quarterback than Bo Nix. Now, Bo Nix has not lit it up this year. He's been fine. Like, the Broncos are a solid football team. They're not overwhelmingly efficient in the passing game. Maybe he's been a little less than fine. And they dismantled, who was their opponent this week? The Panthers?
Yeah, the Panthers.
So, Panthers had that 7-0 lead, though. They had that for a moment. Sean Payton deserves criticism in the same way, let's bring it home, that I think Brian Callahan and his staff deserve criticism. You're supposed to be able to fix quarterbacks, and the quarterback didn't play better. Got worse. Yeah, okay, you go out and get your quarterback with the 12th overall pick in this year's draft. Bo Nix, many people thought he was overdrafted. Whatever, if he fits your system, then he's your quarterback. Draft your guy when your guy is there to be drafted. I'm not gonna nitpick that necessarily, but Russell Wilson was a huge asset for the Denver Broncos. They invested not just financial resources in him, but expend draft capital to acquire him beyond just giving him that mega contract. And you just throw your hands up in the air and say, well, we're going to sit him at a certain point in the season because he stands to make X amount of money if we play him in X amount of games. And I can't do anything with this guy. Come on.
Rodney on the F&M Bank chat says you have to watch the games. Just look at the stats. He was good in Denver towards the end of the year. And he was better in Denver last season than he was 2 years ago, without question.
Just checking it down, though. He's just statistically, it's sound, but you watched him. And I'll admit, I thought there was some blame on Russ, too. He just wasn't working very well. He didn't look, bringing it local, he didn't look comfortable in the system.
Benjamin Buck says, I think for Sean Payton, it was a personality conflict.
That's more likely the case.
I think so. Yeah, the kissing babies comment pretty early on.
Didn't Sean Payton make a whole scene about throwing Russell Wilson's people that he had in the building out of the building as soon as he got there?
Right. Which a lot of that was kind of insane. You know, didn't Russell have his own office?
Well, they have a quarterback office here too now. So I don't know that.
Well, sure, yeah.
Now maybe Russ having his own office independent of the quarterbacks is a different thing, but
I consider that more a quarterback room than does Will Levis have. I don't think Will Levis got.
Well, they have a quarterback room and then they have a quarterback office, right? Isn't that the thing?
I guess. What's the difference?
I don't know, but my point stands about. Sometimes the easier solution for people is just to get the divorce instead of trying to make the relationship work. Sean Payton didn't try to make that relationship work. He said, get out of here. But I just don't think that's acceptable from a coach who has a Super Bowl. You traded draft picks to get Sean Payton in Denver. So I guess you're going to be more I know you're going to be more deferential to him. But I just can't imagine a situation where you would be okay as ownership or the people, whomever in that organization that Sean Payton answers to would be okay with being like, yeah, you spent all our money on Russell Wilson, but if you can't get it right, if you guys don't vibe, if you don't gel, if the personalities are, just a little, they just they don't fit, then yeah, get him out of here. We'll eat the money. No big deal. I think Sean Payton gets off easy there. 615-737-1045. You have headlines?
I do.
They're next.
It's time for NFL headlines with Lucas Panzica.
We start in the AFC South. Now, this may already be a candidate for what made you say, oh no, in sports this
The
weekend.
whole division.
Sure, but specifically in Indianapolis, where the discussion is around quarterback Anthony Richardson and not just for performance. Now, the Colts lost to the Texans on Sunday, 23-20. Richardson had some really, really good, but mostly really, really bad. The full Anthony Richardson experience on Sunday, a 69-yard dime of a deep ball to a wide-open Josh Downs, and the rest of it largely terrible. Now, Richardson took headlines because I'm sure most people have seen this by now. He pulled himself out of the game for one play in the second half on Sunday. Said he needed a break. In fact, I believe, Jackson, we have the audio of Anthony Richardson explaining why he tapped out for one play.
Man, tired. I ain't gonna lie. That was a lot of running right there that I did, and I don't think I was gonna be able to go that next play. So I just, just told saying I just needed a break right there.
Just needed a break. He has been catching a ton of criticism. I saw Damian Woody, Dan Orlovsky, the whole Get Up crew on ESPN going in on Anthony Richardson. Most major outlets covering the NFL talking about this situation have heavily criticized Anthony Richardson. I don't know that I've ever seen this from a quarterback tapping out for just one play for being tired. Richardson on the day, 10 of 32, 175 yards, a touchdown, and one interception. He ran 6 times for 45 yards.
Are they considering benching him? Because Steichen was asked about this.
He said, quote, "We're evaluating everything." And they should. They should consider benching him.
Calm down. just calm down for a second. Let me process. I don't think that's acceptable at all. I just don't think, much less to say it. They tell you to go to a knee if you're hurt, even if it's just to catch your breath for a second, like you lose your wind because you came down hard on a reception or something like that. Maybe the ball landed on your sternum or between the turf and the ball or whatever. The whole, like there are ways to do what he did without literally pulling himself out of the game for a play at the most important position. So I appreciate his honesty, but as a theme of the week, it seems, on football people saying too much, just please say anything but that.
Say you were cramping or something.
I mean, just literally anything. I don't care if it's a lie. Lie to my face. Don't tell me I was tired. I did a lot of running. It's the NFL, brother. You think that the giant 300-pounders in front of you aren't exhausted from having to pass set for your I don't want to make it personal with Anthony Richardson, but all of us get tired. Nobody cares. Don't say that.
Jackson, can we hear Colts center Ryan Kelly talking about the situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we had a conversation about it, and, I think he knows it's not the standard that, that he needs to play up to and the rest of the team holds him to. And I'll kind of leave the conversation that we had at that. But, I'm sure he's going to take some criticism for that. It's just rightfully so, right? I mean, that's a tough look. But I'm also, he's out there giving it all for his team, right? And it's not always pretty sometimes, an offensive lull the last couple of weeks, just having a hard time getting going at times. I thought we did some good things in the game, but if anybody ever questions how hard he plays, I don't think that's the case. I mean, if you watch his film, surely, we didn't move the ball effectively at times, but, I mean, he's giving it everything for his teammates. So he's young. I'm sure it's a learning moment for him, and leave it at that.
I honestly would have been fine if he just said, yeah, that's not our standard. We had a conversation. He knows better.
No, I thought that was a phenomenal answer by Ryan Kelly.
I thought it was very nuanced and measured.
Yep. He walked the line of acknowledging the situation and said they had a conversation and left it at that, but also, put in a word of support for his quarterback and wasn't going to sit there and throw teammates under the bus in front of the media. So that was a great answer, I thought, by Ryan Kelly.
Do you know what his completion percentage is on the season? And listen,
terrible.
Completion percentage is not, the most accurate way to measure a quarterback's ability to be efficient.
Sometimes it is.
When it's this bad, it is. 44.4% It's the second worst completion percentage on record since 2000, which was Achilles Smith at 44.2. He's less accurate than Tebow.
This is a quarterback that had a completion percentage of about 54% throughout his college career. Was not a good player in college. Did fun things, did a lot of erratic things, and was never consistent, which is the player that you're getting now in his second season.
Ann Herndon on YouTube says, Buck, would you like to rescind your statement that he's the most athletic quarterback in the division? I would not. I still think that he is the most athletic quarterback in the division. I just don't think athleticism has translated for him into playing the quarterback position well.
Oh, yeah. He can jump the highest. That's for sure.
Yeah, that matters. Maybe, sometimes, I guess. I don't know. What else you got?
So, speaking of quarterbacks, Jordan Love left the Packers-Jags game with a groin injury late. Malik Willis comes in to save the day, goes 4 of 5 for 56 yards and
Titans
a touchdown.
Titans legend Malik Willis.
Critical long ball to Jaden Reed down the left sideline that put the Packers into field goal range to chip in the 24-yard game-winning field goal by Brandon McManus, 30-27. Sends the Jags to 2-6. Packers get to 6-2, but Jordan Love banged up again, a groin injury. It is not expected to sideline him long term, and they're going to see how he progresses throughout the week. He is day to day at the moment. Big game coming up in Week 9. The 6-2 Packers taking on the Detroit Lions, who are 6-1 for the top spot in the NFC North.
All right, let's say this first. Matt LaFleur, Coach of the Year.
Ooh, give me Dan Quinn, but go on.
Ooh. Are you assigned? Yeah, I mean, I guess you can't take it from Dan Quinn.
New coach, new GM, new parts and pieces all over the place, and a rookie quarterback, and they are having a good time in Washington.
See, I'm more, yes, and Dan Quinn should not be robbed of those vibes, nor should he be discounted that way. But I'm almost more inclined to give my Jaden Daniels Offensive Rookie of the Year pick looking good, if nothing else about my preseason picks looks good. I would be more inclined to give Cliff Kingsbury Assistant Coach of the Year than I would Dan Quinn Head Coach of the Year.
Pulling up the FanDuel odds for AP regular season Coach of the Year, Quinn is the favorite at plus 210. Who do you think's the second favorite?
How could it not be LaFleur?
Sean Payton at plus 650. Then Dan Campbell at plus 850.
Okay, I'll take that.
Then Kevin O'Connell at plus 850.
That's fair.
Mike Tomlin also plus 850.
Also fair.
Andy Reid plus 900. And then Matt LaFleur at plus
nonsense.
1,300.
That's nonsense. We can agree that's nonsense. Malik Willis has 380 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a season quarterback rating of 88.1. No, I'm sorry. That alone makes Matt LaFleur, and that's no disrespect to Malik. Good on Malik, man. I am happy for that dude. He has earned this opportunity. He had a rough start to his career, certainly here. He dealt with a lot of criticism. The criticism was deserved at the time, but he is thriving in better circumstances to his credit. Matt LaFleur deserves to be higher on the list than 9th. That's crazy. Craziness.
A lot of good coaching jobs this year in the NFL.
Yeah. The Commanders are the best story.
I don't have this. I'm not, I guess, Sean Payton, but they are 5-3.
No, out of here with Sean Payton.
With a rookie quarterback.
Get out of here with Sean Payton. No, we've just talked about why Sean Payton deserves way more criticism than he's getting. It's just,
But Dan Campbell deserves to be part of that. Andy Reid obviously deserves to be part of that. Kevin O'Connell, definitely. And Mike Tomlin absolutely should be firmly in that conversation.
I still think the degree of difficulty on what Matt LaFleur is doing in the toughest division in football right now.
It is that.
Deserves, a higher degree of credit. Because he's not, and also, how many of those head coach of the year candidates are also the coordinators? Or the play callers, if not the coordinators.
Sean Payton?
Sean Payton for sure.
Andy Reid, it's his offense.
Matt Nagy is a big part of that. I'm not gonna
Kevin O'Connell.
Kevin O'Connell. So I do think that there's a higher degree of difficulty on being play caller and head coach that should be assigned to whether it's O'Connell, LaFleur, or otherwise. I do think that they deserve credit there.
Tom on the F&M Bank chat says Dan Campbell has been robbed of Coach of the Year a couple years in a row now.
Who won it last year?
Wow. My memory is that bad. Who won Coach of the Year last year?
I have this written down on a notepad somewhere because I had to go back and look. Are you going to look it up?
Yes. Stefanski. Right.
So that's Kevin Stefanski's
Is his
second Coach of the Year award, and that was deserved. They got Joe Flacco in there. Joe Flacco took him to the playoffs. Flacco won Comeback Player of the Year. All these things. Yeah, I mean, but the LaFleur thing is similar to me. I know that Watson was a season-ending injury, but like Love has been in and out of the lineup all year long. They've had to do this with a quarterback who has taken a long time to become a serviceable backup in the league. But not only is he serviceable, he's thriving. Malik Willis.
He is.
That was a game-winning drive that he orchestrated.
Yes. And apparently LaFleur said that Malik checked out of the play they were in to audible to what ended up being that long ball to Jaden Reed to put them into field goal range.
Love to hear that.
The Kansas City Chiefs continue to add depth as they have acquired former Patriots outside linebacker Josh Uche for a 2026 sixth-round pick, former second-round pick out of Michigan in the 2020 draft.
You took an edge rusher that maybe the Lions could have gotten if you're looking at teams that might be acquiring as opposed to selling at the trade deadline. So you have now a Patriots pass rush coming in here that no longer has Matt Judon on it because he got traded to the Falcons, and Josh Uche, who's a solid player.
2 sacks this year.
He's a solid player on a defense that, probably plays above their heads in a lot of these games with Gerard Mayo. Kansas City, they're it's an interesting way to go about putting together a roster, because this was the thing that Brady got tired of in New England, right? That you don't give them, the quarterbacks, high-level investments in wide receivers in the draft. And I know they have Xavier Worthy, but Xavier Worthy, he's got some growing pains here too. Rishi Rice was a second or a third-round pick?
Oh, I want to say second.
So I don't want to say that they haven't invested, and obviously they tried. They signed Hollywood Brown, so they tried to give Mahomes legitimate weapons, but they do seem to kind of skirt, and you have to when you're paying a quarterback $500 million. You got to skirt somewhere, and Pat's good enough to win. They're undefeated right now with an offense that's just saw Travis Kelce catch his first touchdown reception of the year this past week, 8 weeks in. They are buying at the deadline. Hopkins, now Uche. They're not the best team in football. I know the Ravens just lost to the Jameis Winston Browns, but that was a poor Ravens defensive performance, especially not capitalizing on turnovers that Jameis was constantly trying to gift you. Ravens are the best team in the sport to me today, even coming off a loss. But it's just about how Mahomes and the Chiefs survive the regular season and get to the postseason, right?
Yep.
I don't care about.
They're doing more than surviving. They're undefeated. They're the only undefeated team in the NFL.
No, I know, but it's not. They're not dominating teams. Pat's not
they're not
statistically lighting it up. He's turning the ball over. They are surviving, but they are surviving well enough. It's honestly incredible that they have played the longest season of any NFL team for the past 3 years and are still finding ways to survive all this. But that's what happens when you have the best quarterback in the sport.
I put it this way. What did Brian Callahan say yesterday about the ball not bouncing the Titans' way? He said good teams in this league create their own luck. I feel like that's what the Chiefs are doing right now. Ball's bouncing their way through the first 7 games. That's for sure. Stephon Diggs went down yesterday, or on Sunday rather, with a non-contact knee injury that did not look good.
Oh, I didn't see that.
He left the game. It had, every look of an ACL type of injury.
Oh, damn.
There's been no update. There has been nothing on the Stephon Diggs stuff since Sunday.
So that's 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Okay. I know Titans fans don't care about the health of a Texans wide receiver other than you don't want to see anybody get hurt ever. And
Adam Schefter said this to Pat McAfee yesterday on the Pat McAfee show. Everybody's hoping for the best with Diggs. There are some troubling signs here. Schefter said the fact that it was a non-contact injury and nobody has said he's fine. Nobody has told that to Schefter.
They also haven't said that he's torn his ACL outright, which so the more time that passes, typically better on a situation like that. You're very quickly able to determine whether or not a player has torn his ACL or not. You just need the MRI to confirm. You remember Lawan's deal in Buffalo where it took them a couple of days to finally determine that they were going to have to shut him down for the season. Now we know since then, obviously, that Taylor is currently in a lawsuit with the doctor who did his 2020 ACL repair. Apparently, a misplaced graft or a graft that was placed out of line with where it's supposed to be that causes swelling and fluid in his knee. He hasn't played football since. So I don't know Stephon Diggs' medical history off the top of my head, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's an ACL tear. It could still be an ACL tear it could still be an ACL injury without being an ACL tear.
Yeah, and the Rashee Rice situation happened a few weeks ago where everybody sees the knee injury and he's helped off the field. They say, okay, ACL done for the year. And then the reporting on that was a mixed bag. We didn't get a straight answer for a while. And then finally, there was plenty of reporting that his season is expected to be over, but that was an LCL injury. Apparently that was the only ligament Rice needed to be repaired. He's going to make a full recovery. And there's even been little hints in Kansas City of, maybe he could come back at some point in the postseason. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with Stephon Diggs. They are still without Nico Collins, who was leading the NFL in receiving when he went down a few weeks ago. They think they could get him back in a couple of weeks. The Texans are in action this weekend, and they play, how am I not seeing them? The Jets on the road. Oh, yeah. We'll pick up there.
You want to go to the Jets?
The New York Jets, as we look at some other results from Week 8.
Are they better since they fired Robert Saleh?
Nope.
Have they won a game since they fired Robert Saleh?
Nope.
Oh.
It did not fix their problems. They are 2-6, lost 25-22 to the Patriots, gave up a Ramondre Stevenson 1-yard touchdown run with 22 seconds left. They had a 5-point lead there at the end of the fourth quarter, and the Patriots drive down the field on a 12-play, 70-yard drive, 2.5 minutes off the clock for the game-winning touchdown by Stevenson, and the Jets are in shambles. Devontae Adams targeted 6 times, 4 catches for 54 yards.
Wow. Is he going to be done playing football after this year, do you think, Rodgers?
This is the last year of his deal, right? In New York?
I thought they did some creative math with his contract, if I'm not mistaken. You might look it up.
Yeah, you're right. He signed a 3-year deal. Yeah, he is under contract for 2025.
So I just, they're now tied at the AFC East is a mess. The Bills are rolling right now at 6-2. The Dolphins are 2-5. The Patriots are 2-6. The Jets are 2-6, and now the Jets are at the bottom of the division. You have Woody Johnson. You want to talk about saying too much in press releases and things like that, or press conferences? Got Woody Johnson's quote about this being the best Jets roster assembled in a long, long time, and they haven't won a game since they fired the coach whose side of the ball was holding up its end of the bargain, and it continues to be Titans legend Todd Downing. Todd Downing a fall guy? Because it feels like it's the blame. I can't believe I'm caping up for Todd Downing. The blame is more on Aaron Rodgers than it is on Todd Downing. Their offensive line also is terrible again, and they did spend to try and fix it, but that felt like, I don't know, that felt like Band-Aid solutions with end of era Tyron Smith out there trying to play left tackle.
They host Houston on Thursday Night Football, Halloween game. So things are getting very spooky for the Jets in New York. I wonder how sanguine things are in the locker room.
Yeah, how many SAT words is he using at this press conference?
Yep. Quickly, because after they play the Texans, the Jets travel to the Cardinals, who are proving to be one of the more frisky teams in the NFL this season. They're 4-4. Tua came back for Miami, had a decent game, but the Cardinals win 28-27. Electric game. Arizona goes on a 10-0 run at the end for another walk-off field goal. Second straight game in a row where they do that. And the Bengals are 3-5 after a multi-score loss to the Eagles. And Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders. We're going to talk about the Bears corner and what he did on that Hail Mary play. Ono's coming up next. But the vibes are great in Washington. Dan Quinn, as we said, favorite for Coach of the Year, and the Washington Commanders with an electric Hail Mary win over the Bears as it was the number 1 pick against the number 2 pick. It was so fun to watch. They are 6-2 and traveling to the 2-6 Giants this week.
The best way to get a fan base that's still clinging to the racial slurs name, to forget about the racial slurs name?
What, get a quarterback?
Win football games and get a quarterback.
He's awesome, man.
Everybody's a Commies fan now, baby.
We talk about a early legacy defining moment for Daniels, just the way he continues to endear himself to that fan base. Rib injury, right? Is he going to play? Game time decision. He's going to play through it. And then he does that at the end there to beat Caleb Williams and the Bears.
Do we have things to give away?
Yes, tickets to Kevin Hart as well as a $100 a moment's peace gift card.
All you have to do to win those Kevin Hart tickets and that $100 gift card from A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa is tell us what in sports made you say, oh no.
In 19 minutes, the doors will open at 5 of Hattie B's 6 locations in Middle Tennessee, Lower Broadway, Melrose, Midtown, Nashville West, and the Nashville Airport. Also now at Nissan Stadium. Get your Hattie B's during Titans home games coming up this weekend against the Patriots. But I say 5 of the 6 locations because one of the 6 has had their doors open since 7 a.m. That's right. The factory at Franklin location has all your breakfast favorites with the Hattie B spin. You can get it hot or not, anything in between, whatever works for you. Grill it, fry it, whatever you're in the mood for. Try the classic hot chicken biscuit, the pimento cheese, and hot chicken, the hot chicken and waffle stack, and the crispy hash browns with the drinking buddy beer cheese. So good. Check out the factory at Franklin for Hattie B's breakfast and go there for lunch today. Hattie B's, a family-run restaurant serving up your favorite Southern food and authentic Nashville hot chicken. Don't forget your watch party coming up this weekend, having some folks over for the Tennessee-Kentucky game. Pick up a Hattie B's flock pack. It feeds between 4 to 8 people, $55. Fill up your bucket of chicken with your tenders or jumbo wings, your favorite heat level, and it comes with 2 quarts of the classic Hattie B's sides, and they are the best in town. The pimento mac and cheese, my personal favorite. Get the flock packs with the Hattie B's app. Download the app. You get a free dessert just by doing so, and go to Hattie B's Hot Chicken today.
That's right. What in sports made you say, oh, no, this weekend? It's made possible by A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa. If you're feeling stressed, if life has just gotten to be too much, or if you need a gift for the holidays, even more importantly, because the holidays right around the corner, people are going to start doing their shopping. It's October 29th. We haven't even gotten to Halloween, but I see Christmas stuff out already. If you're thinking about something for the person in your life that you need to shop for, A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa has you covered. What in sports made you say, oh, no, for the opportunity to win a $100 gift card from A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa, and also 2 tickets to Kevin Hart's show at the Pinnacle, the new venue that's being opened in the Gulch at the Nashville Yards section of town. I will start the bidding with Aaron Judge. 0 for 3 with another strikeout in the Game 3 loss last night. The Yankees are now down in the World Series 3-0 against the Dodgers. They have one more opportunity to keep their World Series hopes alive. I can't imagine the Yankees. I mean, can you imagine what the discourse in New York is going to be if they get swept? They haven't made the World Series in, 15 years? And they get swept? It's been 15 years since they've won a World Series game. That streak continues, and we're 3 games into the World Series. The Aaron Judge thing, though, he's evaporated. He's just completely evaporated. And I haven't heard any like spin on, there's still something about the postseason. He's inexperienced, whatever. No, he's got to be able to perform. New York has to be losing its mind right now.
0-9-1 in the World Series so far for Aaron Judge.
Yeah, that's tough.
Tough.
What's yours?
What made me say, oh, no, in sports this weekend was Bears cornerback Tyreek Stevenson.
This is the one.
Yes. Now, Jackson, I don't know, were you able to track down
Was not. You never told me where it was.
the audio? Okay, great job by everybody involved. Now, Tyreek Stevenson.
Just the way, how football teams talk about not pointing fingers, the way that both of you just immediately said, did you do it? No, you didn't do it for me.
Tyreek Stevenson, it was basically just him in a press conference setting accepting the blame and saying that it will never happen again, and he apologized to his teammates. For those who don't know, Tyreek Stevenson, the Bears corner, while the Commanders are lining up for the Hail Mary, Stevenson is talking trash to Commanders fans. He is waving enthusiastically. He's talking trash. Then the ball is snapped, and he's still talking trash. And then Commanders receivers are running, and they are passing the 30-yard line on the way to the end zone. And he still has his back turned to the play, talking trash to Commanders fans for what he believes is about to be a road win. And then he turns around, quickly realizes that they're in the middle of a Hail Mary play, runs over, and I believe he is the one who comes into contact with the ball.
Oh, he tips it up to the receiver, to Noah Brown.
To tip it up, exactly, to Brown. Beautifully executed tip drill Hail Mary by Washington. Brown just catches it safely in the end zone. Commanders win in walk-off fashion. My goodness, talk about bad looks. The Anthony Richardson thing is bad. Sitting out for a play. The Tyreek Stevenson thing, way worse.
Yeah.
Way worse.
Much less because there's a clip of Caleb Williams before the Hail Mary snapped, and he looks like he's motioning to somebody to try and get their attention, and people are saying that it's Tyreek Stevenson. So you've got the rookie quarterback even like trying to wave you down, being like, hey, man, no, there's a snap. There's the ball is in the air. Oh, my God, they're at the 30. Figure it out.
I've never seen anything like that.
That's hilarious.
It's one thing to be talking trash before the play, right, and counting your chickens like that. That would be bad enough. But the fact that he was doing it while receivers are approaching he didn't join the play until they hit the 20-yard line.
Like, even just to, read the reaction of fans, because the fans probably aren't even, the fans that he's talking smack to are not looking at Tyreek Stevenson.
Yeah, they're like, they're looking at the Hail Mary. The play, but I'm trying to win a game here. I could not believe that.
Dopey. Jackson, what do you got?
Speaking of bad looks, Dwayne Wade, Miami Heat legend, had a statue unveiled outside the stadium in Miami, or the arena in Miami, and this thing is butt ugly.
Yeah.
It is being compared to Kelsey Grammer, Lawrence Fishburne, Antoine Walker.
Anybody but Dwayne Wade.
Anybody but Dwayne Wade.
You went from Kelsey Grammer to Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, it's a pretty
It's a pretty wide mark. I think it looks more like Lawrence Fishburne. There's a meme of him in the Matrix cover, and it is hilarious.
You know what it looks like? It looks like Ronaldo's statue.
Well, it is bad. It reminds you of Cristiano Ronaldo's statue, just for how bad it is.
It was worse, yeah. Ronaldo's
was way worse.
Way worse. Now, the thing about these statues that I notice when they're done so poorly, why do people put these eyes so close together? Like, the eyes are so close together on the statue, and also it's just the face that he's making with these, pursed lips. that he's got going on. It's just a bizarre look.
Somebody has put this statue over Dwayne Wade's head in like the big 3 pictures. The memes are delightful.
Yeah.
Well, some of his reaction were great too, because he's just kind of exchanging looks with some of the people that were with him at the ceremony, and there's some stifled laughs and very, very funny.
Yeah, 615-737-1045 is the number. What in sports made you say, oh no? Let's start with Ron up first. Hey, Ron.
Hey, Buck. So my oh no moment is the same one the Bears play, with the cornerback celebrating, talking trash, and then with the guy who tipped the ball to the receiver for them to win the game. Like, that's just dumb, dude. Why would you do that?
Yeah, I'm certain it's going to make an appearance tomorrow when we do the dumbest thing in sports this week, but it was pretty bad. Buffalo, next.
Hey, I was watching the Green Bay game, and here comes the Jags. A minute 40 left. They scored a touchdown. I was like, oh, no, you got to be kidding me. Love is out, injured. We got Malik up at bat. LaFleur, he calls up 3 run plays. But prior to that, I'm like, surely to God, he's not just going to run. And then he throws that long bomb to Reed, and they get down there and they, kick a field goal, and wow, another saving field goal at the end of the game for Green Bay. My heart was in my chest that whole dang last 5 minutes.
I'm glad you survived, buddy. Thanks for the call.
So Buffalo didn't say, oh, no, but oh, yes, at the end of that game.
Well, but the whole game he was saying, oh, no. Colby, next.
Yeah, hey, Big Country morning to you. I guess my oh no was hearing that Lions fight song after every time they scored, and being one of maybe 50 Titans fans that actually traveled up there, then seeing all the Sonic and Knuckles. Oh no, oh no, oh no.
Yeah. I feel like Colby should win the tickets for having to attend that Titans game.
I agree. let's hear Kyle just for kicks.
The football team is so sad that we are willing to award you tickets to something else just to make you feel better about watching a Titans game. Kyle will give us an ancillary one. Hey, Kyle.
What's up, guys? I was also gonna go with with old Stevenson in Chicago. That might be one of the best, if not the best, of all time. Oh no's. So
it's a Hall of Famer.
It is a Hall of Famer.
It is a Hall of Famer.
First ballot. Oh no, Hall of Famer.
Mount Rushmore.
We should at some point. It would require legwork on our part to go back and find the worst of all time. But yeah, that's a pretty good one.
Legwork is the type of work that we are worst at.
All right. Well, congratulations to Colby. We're sorry your football team sucks, but we'll make it up to you by sending you a $100 A Moment's Peace Salon and Day Spa gift card, as well as tickets to the upcoming Kevin Hart concert at the Pinnacle venue, which will be open here in the very near future. Coming up next, we will talk about the Heisman Watch. Where do things stand in the world of college football through 9 weeks? I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. If you're looking for a longer-lasting fog light for your drive, upgrade to Sylvania LED fog bulbs. They're easy to install. LED fog light bulbs will get you out of the driveway and back onto the road in no time. It was very, very foggy yesterday here in Middle Tennessee, basically until like 8 a.m. Sylvania is the guiding light for all your power sport and fog bulb needs. For a limited time, get a $20 O'Reilly Auto Parts gift card after rebate with purchase of select Sylvania LED fog bulbs, plus 2 times O Rewards points. They are also at O'Reilly Auto Parts celebrating the 25th anniversary of their famous jingle, and they want you to be a part of the celebration. Submit a cover of the jingle, a remix, or your own choreographed dance for you to win exclusive merch and prizes, including 3 $5,000 grand prize winners from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Submit your video to O'ReillyJingleContest.com now through October 31st. Terms and conditions do apply. No purchase necessary.
11:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. The Pittsburgh Steelers improved to 6-2 on Monday Night Football with the 26-18 win over the New York Giants. The loss drops the Giants to 2-6. Russell Wilson, 20 of 28 for 278 yards and a touchdown. The LA Dodgers have a 3-0 lead over the Yankees in the World Series after a 4-2 win at Yankee Stadium on Monday. Former Vanderbilt pitcher Walker Buehler pitching 5 innings, giving up only 2 hits, no runs, and striking out 5. And the Nashville Predators fell in overtime on Monday, 3-2 at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Steven Stamkos with a pair of assists in his return to Tampa. Preds will host the Oilers on Thursday. Titans coach Brian Callahan met with the media on Monday as the 1-6 Titans prepare to host the Patriots. Callahan was asked about the special teams issues from the loss in Detroit on Sunday, where the Titans gave up over 200 punt and kick return yards.
Yeah, watch tape together, see where it went wrong, see what issues we had and where they came up, and where we can fix them. You know, what things we can do differently to make sure we put a better execution on the field, better schematics on the field, whatever that may be, to help us be better than it was on Sunday, because we can't have that. That's not at all acceptable.
For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second hour is upon us on this Tuesday. We've got updated Heisman Trophy odds to get to. Welcome into the show. If you want to jump in, 615-737-1045. The number, the F&M Bank chat, also there for you at your disposal. We will talk about how this season has impacted the Titans' competitive timeline here in just a second. And we also are going to have our, week 10 of the high school football season? Week 10 high school football hero, Brentwood quarterback J.C. White, will join us at the end of the hour.
Going into week 11 on Friday, last week of the regular season.
So the Heisman watch for now, Travis Hunter, back at the top of the odds per FanDuel, depending on where you look. The week-by-week jockeying for the Heisman Trophy favorite continues on in the sports books. Then Dylan Gabriel, plus 250. Cam Ward, plus 300. Ashton Genty, plus 450. Cade Klubnik has emerged as a player who is now favored over Carson Beck at Georgia, who is plus 4,000 to round out the top of the Heisman Trophy odds per FanDuel Sportsbook.
He is the first player, Travis Hunter, in Big 12 history to win Offensive Player of the Week and Defensive Player of the Week in the same season.
It's sick.
He won Defensive Player of the Week back in week 3 and then Offensive Player of the Week for his performance against Cincinnati, and that went on Saturday, in which he had, again, just his mundane 130 snaps and shutting down opponents at corner and being the best wide receiver on the field. There's no other answer for me at this point. I don't know what would have to happen. I think he would have to get injured, knock on wood, because we don't want that to happen, but he would have to get injured for me to not be furious if he doesn't win the Heisman. At this point, it's just ridiculous what he's doing.
You know what? Before we talk about him specifically, you know what that 130 snaps just reminded me of? Anthony Richardson needing to take a play off because he ran too much. Come on. I just got angrier about that. Anyway, Dylan Gabriel just leapfrogged Cam Ward because he had a 4-touchdown performance over the weekend, so it did help his Heisman Trophy odds there.
And he's been great.
He has been great. But Travis Hunter is special, and you cannot justify calling the Heisman Trophy award the award that goes to the best player in the sport of college football and give it to anybody but Travis Hunter this year. His team is not the most competitive, though they're frisky.
Oh, no, I don't think you can't use that against Colorado this year. That was the thing that was brought up most often with Hunter really early in the season, where it was, Hunter could keep doing this, but a 6-6 Colorado is not going to have a Heisman Trophy winner. Colorado's sitting there at 6-2. They do have a path to the Big 12 championship game, which means that there is a potential path to the college football playoff. Their last 4 games are at Texas Tech, at home against Utah, at Kansas, and at home against Oklahoma State, the preseason favorite to win the Big 12, who is 0-5 in Big 12 play. Colorado could very well finish the season 8-4, 9-3. And the coaching job right now that Deion Sanders is doing, it's insane. That turnaround is insane in 2 years.
Did you see that Deion was stumping for Shedeur to have at least higher odds in the Heisman Trophy? Because, I mean, he also had a great performance. Now, part of that is if Travis Hunter has a big day, it's also because Shedeur Sanders likely had a big day, right? It's not just the defensive stuff that has Travis Hunter in the running. It's because, 1, he's playing both sides of the ball, and 2, he's an excellent wide receiver. I think I've also solidified my position on him, even though, the college football season is not yet done and there will be other things to evaluate them on come draft time. But I think that Travis Hunter is probably going to end up being a wide receiver in this draft class and could be, one of 3 wide receivers to go in the top 10. I don't know that I would consider, if you had the choice between Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders, Colorado players, draft eligible players that are likely going to go in the top 10 of this year's draft, for the Titans, Mock Draft Tuesday, who would you take? That's an interesting conversation to have right now.
It really is.
We can have it at this offseason, certainly. But for the rest of this stuff, Cam Ward has thrown at least 2 touchdown passes in every game leading up to that Florida State game. And that streak that did come to an end, though. It was the first scoreless outing that he's had in more than a calendar year. He did find the end zone eventually, but it took a little while for them to be able to ice that game comfortably. And then Genty, he continues to be spectacular. He is the best offensive player. Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable saying that he's the best offensive player, exclusively offensive player in college football this year, though Travis Hunter, what he's doing, obviously very special.
Yeah, it's special. Again, we talk about how the word generational is thrown around too much, specifically with quarterbacks, like it was with Trevor Lawrence. That's what this is. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, it just is. Give me another player in this generation that has ever done anything even remotely close to this.
Yeah, I think my issue, though, is not with generational college player, because I do think that there have been players who have been generational college players. My problem is when they become generational prospects.
Prospects, sure.
I get out of here with that, because you can, I have no idea what Travis Hunter is going to be at the NFL level. All I know is that he's really, really intriguing, and he has the opportunity to be not just a special college football player, but also a quality pro. And if he's a quality pro, that's a win for me. Just leave generational prospect out of it.
By the end of his career, if he continues like this, we will be talking about him as one of the best players to ever play the sport of college football. I mean, we're going to put him in that echelon. And if we end the season and he is not holding the Heisman Trophy, if he continues like this, then it is an absolute disgrace to the Heisman Trophy. I'm sorry, at the end of the season.
A disgrace. That's the most sports talk radio you've ever been. They should be ashamed of themselves. All the shaming sports media cliches.
Well, because we've had years where you kind of shrug your shoulders, just give it to the best quarterback, right? We've had those years. I think
those years are so boring.
Bryce Young, it kind of felt like that a little bit. Now, Jaden Daniels did some spectacular things for LSU last year. But this cannot be a year where we shrug our shoulders and say, just give it to the best quarterback. Just give it to Dylan Gabriel, who has had a phenomenal season. When we are watching something that none of us have ever seen in our lifetimes play out before our eyes, I cannot be okay with just giving it to the best quarterback.
Well, yeah, because it's just Travis Hunter and Genty holding it down for the non-quarterbacks. Yeah. Right? The rest of the list is Beck, it's Drew Aller, it's Shedeur, it's, Curtis Rourke is still in there at plus 6,000. Jalen Milroe, Bryson Daly at Army have the same odds. Quinn Ewers has now moved to plus 7,000, and so has Garrett Nussmeier, who had a really tough outing against Texas A&M. Though honestly, we haven't talked about Mike Elko really, and Texas A&M really yet. Mike Elko, that was a clinic on Saturday night, both from a personnel decision-making standpoint that is required from a head coach, and also the defensive stuff. Mm-hmm. They had Garrett Nussmeier in a blender.
Well, they had Garrett Nussmeier in a blender, too, because LSU could not run the football to save their lives. Garrett Nussmeier was put in some very tough spots. A&M took full advantage.
Coming up next, Titans are 1-6. there is some theory to allowing, or some thought to allowing said terrible season to play out as being a part of the timeline to competitiveness. Brian Callahan was asked about the timeline to competitiveness yesterday. We will play for you those comments coming up next. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. So your football team's bad. You don't say. How much longer is it going to be bad? That, of course, is the question. You feel like, at this point, winning can serve a purpose. Winning something can serve a purpose, right? Even if it's just one more game. Because you have to show some level of proof of concept, right? My whole thing yesterday was this team wishes it just had a Will Levis problem. You've got a lot of other things to prove on the front of well-coached, first and foremost, and frankly, well put together, because we haven't seen these pieces and parts. And the defense plays relatively good football, unless they're being completely sabotaged by their special teams unit and their offense. So you understand what this thing is right now. You have a defense that belongs on a much better football team. You have an offense that has shown rare glimpses, rare flashes. Sunday, ironically, was one of them in the first half of that game, and then it's all for naught because turnovers and special teams kill you. And you have this the statement from the general manager and the Tennessean saying, just stick with us. You have quotes from Brian Callahan on, just trying to get things corrected on one front, trying to put out one fire, and then another one pops up. Because it just seems anytime they do something well, 6 more things that they do wrong seem to leak out of whatever the hell this thing is at this point. So Brian Callahan is asked yesterday about timelines by Nick Suss from the Tennessee. And this was the head coach's answer on a timeline to competitiveness.
No, I think you got to be really careful with timelines because it's not linear. You know what I mean? It's not, you're not just constantly doing this. There's dips, and then it doesn't always just go right the way you expect it to go. So you have to be mindful of what you put on it. But I think there's lots of examples around the league of how you can go about that in a relatively quick manner. The team we just played is one of them. Cincinnati was that way, and San Francisco. There's teams that show you that it's there's a relative idea of what you'd like it to look like, and it's those are the things that you try to match it up with and hope that you can do the same thing.
So I get that answer as a coach. You don't want to put timelines on things, especially not, hey, when are you going to be good? Give us about 6 weeks. We'll figure it out. Because obviously, if they'd have given us a timeline before the season, they would have said, yeah, we'd be way better than 1-6 before Halloween. Not so. One person, Stevie on YouTube, is disagreeing with me about we've seen the concept. It's okay. Do you agree with that assessment? You think I'm being too harsh on the offensive side of the football? Because I would still say that it's really tough for me to have belief in proof of concept on offense, other than Tony Pollard is really good and deserves better.
I'm not taking big issues with the scheme and
No.
the offense in general. Like, I still think this team has bigger quarterbacks bigger problems than Levis, like we talked about yesterday. But just with the offense specifically, for me, quarterback is the thing that has dragged it down the most, and right tackle play. Mm-hmm. But overall, it means something to learn how to win under a coaching staff. Right? So I feel like people would be very quick, and we're putting it to a poll. Would you rather see the Titans bounce back and show some proof of concept under Brian Callahan, or just lose out for the better draft pick? It's very easy as a fan to just say, just lose out, get the better draft pick. But that stuff piles up on itself. And you may think that your opinion of Brian Callahan won't change if the Titans go 1-16, 2-15. But more losses like Sunday, it will change people's opinion. It'll change the opinion of decision makers, not to where he's fired maybe at the end of the season, but to where it could impact the timeline for 2025.
If they give up another 50-point performance and have some kind of margin of defeat that is Sunday was the 4th worst defeat since they became the Titans. If they allow another team to put up 50-plus points on them this season, then I think you do have to give consideration, no matter what the record is at the end of the year, is this team being orchestrated correctly? But it's not just about the schematic stuff, right? It's about, all right, this guy is a former offensive coordinator who worked in conjunction with his former head coach to call plays, but now he is the head coach. So not only does the offense fall under his purview, but the whole team falls under his purview. Is it a well-coached team? We talked about this yesterday. No, not at 1-6. No matter how highly you think of Denard Wilson and it not being the defensive side's fault, on the whole, this is not a well-coached football team to date. Now, what is the average lifespan, or let's say not the average lifespan, the average tenure of an NFL coach in any one given job? Now, I looked this up, and you know how reliable these things are. NFL coaches had been entering from about 1980 on. ESPN had a good piece about this from April. They had been lasting about 4.6 years on average. That timeline has since dropped to 3.2, and if anything, it's getting less than 3.2 because since, per ESPN, since 2019, out of 32 coaches, how many do you think have fired their coach? Or, excuse me, 32 teams, how many do you think have changed coaches?
Since the 2019 season?
2019.
Oh, man, great question. I bet it's, 12?
26.
Oh, my goodness.
26 teams since 2019 have changed coaches in the NFL.
Okay, so Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin. When was Shanahan hired?
Pre-2019.
Yeah. Shanahan, McVay. LaFleur, or does LaFleur count as part of this? He was hired.
LaFleur was
19 was his first year, so I don't know if he would be one of the.
No, he would not. He would count as because his first year was 19. So, yeah, since 2019.
So I've just named 4 coaches that have been at the franchise they are leading. McCarthy, right? No, McCarthy.
He hasn't been in Dallas that long. I don't think so.
Man.
Well, yeah, it would have been 19, right? McCarthy was out in 19, and then, that is a good question.
He took over in 2020.
Okay. So 2020 was LaFleur's first season?
No, 2020 was McCarthy's first season.
Oh, because he was out for a year. Okay,
yeah, LaFleur left after the 2018 season.
That's right, because there was this whole thing about, Mike McCarthy's been studying Pro Football Focus or something like that as citing, advanced analytics or whatever.
Right. Man.
I mean, Vrabel lasting 6 years is an anomaly under both of those circumstances, whether it's, since 1980, 4.6, or here in the last couple of years where it's become 3.2 and getting even less than, where 26 of the 32 teams have turned over the coach. So how do you want to play this thing, right? I guess it's up to Amy. Are you good with being more patient? Because there are teams that have allowed coaches to last longer than maybe fan bases are comfortable with. I think that, Detroit has been a more patient organization than you might have imagined. Chicago, no, they didn't really give Matt Nagy that much time after he won the Coach of the Year. And also he had Trubisky. But there are organizations that do allow more time than less, that actually spike the average here.
Who is the most he's overstayed his welcome coach in the NFL?
Oh, McCarthy.
McCarthy?
Doesn't it feel like it?
I mean, he is the most pre-fired coach,
Maybe
it feels
Dayball.
like. I would say Dennis Allen in New Orleans.
Well, that's because you have a Saints fan in your life that's calling you at 3 a.m. to rant about Alvin Kamara's new contract in a Vols playoff scenario that may have them 10-2 and out.
It is a very stale situation down there.
Yeah, Dennis Allen is a good submission. So all right, let's do it this way. Do you give Brian Callahan 3 years, or do you give him less? Because we'll play this game based on a 3-year timeline. Let's say 3 years is all any coach gets in the modern day NFL to try and right the ship. Are you willing to give him 3 years based on, a 1-6 start? And are you willing to make the timeline 3 years? Are you willing to wait another 3 years for this team to try and turn something around? Or do you think within 3 years we'll be having a different discussion because in 3 years their new stadium will be open, and if things feel even a little bit stale, you'd be lying to yourself if you thought that ownership group wasn't going to make some kind of decision that would get people excited about the idea of coming to the new Nissan Stadium again. if they've checked out on what the product is here in the next couple.
A different situation because everything was bad, top to bottom, and the toxicity in the building, all of those things. But Whisenhunt was fired after 23 games,
You don't think things are toxic right now at 1-6?
Whisenhunt was fired 7 games into his rookie quarterback's first season. Like, went out and got his guy. Titans got their quarterback. He didn't have Mariota in 2014.
Yep.
And still, a 1-6 start, 6 straight losses, got him fired. So it's hard to just give blanket 3 years because the context is so important.
No, I'm not. Me personally, no. You don't get blanket 3 years for me, especially not after a 1-6 start. Now, I know I'm doing that with some of the results in hand, but I'm very much on, if you don't think this thing is starting to straighten out. So Wiz got what, halfway through his second year?
This
he got
is
7 games?
I mean, this is a great example. D Good on the F&M Bank chat. Wiz 7 games into his second year was let go. D Good says Bengals gave Zach Taylor his time. Zach Taylor with Brian Callahan on that staff, 2-14 without their quarterback, dreadful in 2019. 4-11 with their rookie quarterback Joe Burrow, dreadful in 2020, and he did get hurt towards ACL late in that season. But they were, were not. He showed flashes, but they were never even close to contenders in the division in 2020. And then it's not even like they took this giant jump in the regular season of 2021, but they got hot, obviously went to the Super Bowl. That was a 10-7 Bengals team. So that feels like one of the best examples of giving someone time. Because even Dan Campbell got close to 500 his second year, despite a terrible start. They were 1-6 in his second year, and then they got right. Bengals finished Taylor's second year at 4-11. I wonder what the conversation, 4-11-1, I should say. There was a tie in there. I wonder what the conversation was around Zach Taylor at the end of year 2 in Cincinnati.
They still hate Zach Taylor. I saw some quote tweets of my Brian Callahan clip from Sunday night with Bengals fans saying, look how the Titans reporters grill this guy. I wish somebody would go at Zach Taylor for this. Bengals fans are not overwhelmingly pleased with the Zach Taylor experience, nor have they been.
They're 3-5.
For the entirety of his tenure. It has always felt a bit tenuous, other than the Super Bowl run with Bengals fans. At least, and I'm talking about this as somebody who's just observing behavior on social media, understanding that social media is not the real world. For me, Brian Callahan is right to not put a timeline on it, nor should he, nor not when it comes to trying to turn this thing around. You should never put your own timeline on, how long should you give me before you think about firing me? Of course, that's not the right thing to do. But I will say, if they have a losing record in 2025 and he's still the head coach, like I need to see meaningfully competitive. I need to see at least like 8-9. You did too much.
You don't think Callahan could survive a 4-win season in year 2 like Zach Taylor survived?
Could he? Oh yeah, I mean, sure, could he? But I'm saying for me personally, I'm not the one making the decision on whether people keep their jobs or not, nor should I be. But like for me, if I'm looking at this as a media person and trying to put myself in the mindset of a fan, I'm not giving them 2 years to go to put together a 4-win campaign next year.
What would be more important? I mean, honest question. In year 2 of Brian Callahan, evaluating the progress of the quarterback play under him or the actual wins?
Winning.
Okay, but in Cincinnati, the quarterback play was much more important because most of the time, 6 wins in your first 2 years, you're done. But Joe Burrow showed enough his rookie year.
Where is Joe Burrow in this next 2 college football classes? And I know we need time to let them play out.
I know. I'm just saying Joe Burrow showed enough in his rookie year for them to bring back Zach Taylor for a year 3. So for Cincinnati at that time, the evaluation of the quarterback play was much more important than wins.
There is always context that is important.
And it paid off because they went to a Super Bowl.
No, you are trying to sell people on your new multi-billion-dollar stadium project and also asking them to pay. I mean, I have a friend of mine that texted me, and I can pull up the text, but basically they're asking people to spend like $70,000 on the upcharge on these things. Let me see if I can pull up the exact tweet or text so I can be specific. And they wanted another $70K from me to keep my seats in the new stadium with a facepalm emoji. I got that text in the middle of the Lions game. I'm sorry. No. That maybe Brian Callahan might be a product of bad timing because they have to get people invested in this product before they open up this new stadium. Otherwise, it's going to look like SoFi where you're still getting overpowered by the visiting fan base every week. No, you cannot do all the different things, cite Lombardi Trophy aspirations, say that Titans fans deserve better, also say that it's not enough to win more than you lose when you bring in this coaching staff and keep somebody who wins 4 or 5 games in year 2.
Puka on the F&M Bank chat says, tons of great NFL coaches had bad rookie seasons. Is any rookie NFL coach doing great this season? I mean, there should not be any discussion of firing Brian Callahan at the end of the season. I think any of that is patently ridiculous.
Any?
No, none. There should not be any discussion.
If they win one game and the one game is the Dolphins game, you don't any at all. You would say no. Shut up. No, you can't talk about that. If this team loses 16 games, you are saying no definitively.
The context matters. You're right. There should not be a blanket.
You cannot make blanket statements about any of this.
When you bring somebody in to start a process, you have to let that process play out, in my mind. That is what dysfunctional organizations do, is turn and burn like that. And the first sign of things struggling early, you're done. You're out. Like, there's got to be other circumstances that would have to lead to something like that, like conflict, rifts in the building. And I don't think that exists right now.
You think there's a single NFL organization that does not have some level of dysfunction that's not being covered up by somebody? Houston is the great example. Houston is probably still a largely dysfunctional organization. You know why it's easier now? Because C.J. Stroud is good and they got the coach right.
Yep. And they hired a big source of that, or fired a big source of that dysfunction.
Brother, if you don't think that this organization, even when it was winning, has some level of dysfunction, that just, I mean, all workplaces have dysfunction. Of course.
Yes, absolutely. But that is what the most dysfunctional franchises in the NFL do, is turn and burn. Just you hire a guy to start up a process, and then you fire before you even get a chance to get a complete answer on that process. If the whole year was about finding out about Will Levis, and you find out that Will Levis isn't the answer, then guess what? Mission accomplished, right?
Yep.
You found out about the quarterback.
I agree.
Now go get you one and see what you can do.
But I'm still saying that if there are 16 losses at the end of the year, then we can have a conversation. I don't think that you should shout people down for wanting to have a conversation. Again, we're dealing in a very, very, distant hypothetical, because there's still 10 more weeks. God help us. There's still 10 more weeks of this to go. But in the same way that you cannot make blanket statements about, how much winning covers things up or how much losing exposes things are wrong, like you just have to take all these things with context, and we could be having a very different conversation at the end of the year. But I don't think that there's any context required if they lose 16 games that would make not even the conversation around the coach possible.
At that point, too, you have to think about what you are as a destination for coaches. And I know it's an NFL coaching job and someone's going to take it, but you don't want to be that coaching job that someone took because it's an NFL coaching job.
You could have a Ben Johnson situation where he looks around, he's one of the most viable potential head coach hires out there, and says, "Nah, I'm good. Like Detroit, we got something going here." And we kind of laughed at the idea of they were coming back to try and win a Super Bowl because they got the NFC Championship and then fell short, but there is something to that. So, yes, coaching candidates, if they're good enough, can pass you over. The majority of them will take the job, no matter how bad it gets, no matter how dysfunctional the organization, because look at Washington.
Not if they have options, though. Not if they have options. And the good coaches have options.
Sure.
Like, you don't just get your pick of the litter when you're going into your third coach in 3 years.
But I'm saying, this is like quarterbacks or like left tackles that hit free agency. How many good left tackles hit free agency? Almost ever. How many good coaches end up out there on the market? More than not now with 26 of 32.
But there are more attractive candidates than others, and we saw that last year when Ben Johnson not only said, "I'm good" to the Titans, but to everybody. Said, "I'm good. I'm going to get my shot." Right? Like, you put yourself, in my mind, at the bottom of that list for those coaches that have all the options when you are the franchise that's just sitting there churning, and you're going into year 3 with a third different head coach.
Yeah, but Ben Johnson is such an anomaly. More often than not, you're going to get somebody, because for the same reason that people take chances on first-round quarterbacks that may or may not work out, there's so much I can fix this in coaching that people will look at this and say, I'm sure Brian Callahan said the same thing. I can fix this. 1 in 6. 615-737-1045, the number. If you want to jump in, let's go to Jackson next. Hey, Jackson.
Hey, what's up, Buck? How you guys doing today?
We're good.
I do want to say one thing. Thanks to you guys for keeping our minds in a blender most of the days. It's kind of feels like everything's on fire being a fan of this team and organization. But you guys keep our head on straight with giving us good content, and appreciate that. But I do want to ask, why is it that, you know, I live in East Arkansas, I cannot listen to the games, and half the time the games aren't on TV for me and where I live. But on the app, it won't let me listen because it's out of market, I guess. Why is it a thing? What's the point in having the app and having the radio when you can't listen to it? But other than that, that's all I got. I appreciate you guys for doing what you do.
Thanks for the call. That's not my department. But I will say that we had this question just because maybe some other people are experiencing this. I asked our engineer, Ian, about this the other day because Teron Davenport of ESPN was trying to stream the Titans radio broadcast on the Zone's website and wasn't able to do it. The NFL apparently has cracked down on teams' local radio rights. So if you are outside of a 100-mile radius of where that broadcast originates, you're not allowed to stream it. That's an NFL thing. That's not a radio station or Titans radio, it just applies to anywhere that's selling NFL rights, apparently. And that was new this year to me. So sorry about that, Jackson. More of your phone calls coming up next. Also, we are going to talk to our high school football hero, Brentwood quarterback J.C. White. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. We are fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Tuesdays at 11:45. We are always pleased to be joined by our Tennessee high school football hero this week. Brentwood quarterback J.C. White joins us. J.C., congratulations on the success. Thanks for taking some time. How we living on this Tuesday?
We're doing great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Just sometimes we ask this at the end of the interview, but are we breaking you out of class or are you on your lunch break?
No, we're on lunch break right now.
Okay, well then we'll keep it short. So then we should probably ask that on the front end to make sure that we get people back in time for their lunch.
What's for lunch, JC?
I'm having a couple peanut butter sandwiches, some Propel, and what is that? A banana.
Fantastic.
If you had to question it, I mean, I feel like a banana is pretty easy to identify,
I don't have it out in front of me right now. I'm about to eat it. I don't remember.
Well, we won't keep you from your lunch for too long. 15 of 20 for 243, 2 touchdowns in a 20-6 win over Independence. What was clicking well for you guys as an offensive unit on Friday night?
I felt like the wide receivers and me had some pretty good synergy that game. The O-line was doing a great job of blocking and allowing me to have time to get it to the wide receivers for them to make plays. We just did amazing offensively together as a unit.
So you and your teammate Cannon Kinder have been balancing reps at the quarterback position. Obviously, it's worked for you guys. 8-1 going into the Ravenwood game Friday, what amounts to a region championship game in the Battle of the Woods. How has that been for you personally in terms of sharing those reps and how you guys have both had to handle that all season while keeping the team in mind, but understanding you have individual goals too? How have you balanced that?
It's been great to learn from a senior, especially with all he's had to teach me with just like going through reads and just overall like gameplay and like how to get up to speed to the varsity, because I didn't get much reps last year and he did. So he really helped me get to the spot where I'm able to come in and just help our team do the best that we can and just get some W's on the Fridays.
You got a big one coming up this Friday. You guys are at Ravenwood. I know Lucas is going to be doing that game for My TV 30. What's the lead up been like? What's the level of excitement? Because I know these are usually pretty competitive games.
Mm-hmm. We have obviously it's a big game on Friday, but the team right now is not focused more on that. We're more focused on being locked in on practice. We haven't thought much about the game. It's more about just giving it all you can on the practices leading up to Friday, and then when it comes to Friday, we're just going to go out there and do the best that we can. Crosstown rival obviously means a lot, but I just think we're so locked in right now that we're not thinking about it much.
You guys are 8-1, riding a 7-game win streak since that Week 2 loss at Brentwood Academy, 16-6 final. What did you guys learn in that game that has helped you get to the point that you're at now at this point in the season?
That game, the offense was not clicking. And after that game, we came back to the locker room, and our senior leaders really took us and really just spoke like wisdom into the offense and the defense and just said, like, we don't want to be back in that position, and we really just need to get stuff going. And ever since then, we've just been clicking on offense, and we did not want to go back to how we were before that with how the offense was stalling.
J.C. White of Brentwood High School here with us on 104.5 The Zone. He is this week's Tennessee high school football hero.
Now, last season, you guys obviously got off to that electric start, 13-0. You lose in the 6A semifinal. But on the way, you beat Ravenwood twice, right? In the regular season finale, and then again in the quarterfinals. Do you guys talk about those games as a team, look back at what brought you success? I know you said you weren't at the varsity level yet at that point, but how have those discussions been? Because it's easy to use that as motivation if you're on the losing side, right? Playing the team that got you last year. But if you were on the winning side of that last year, do you guys discuss those matchups from 2023 at all?
Mm-hmm. We've obviously thought about it a couple times and just how our offense was. Last year was amazing. We had an amazing offense and defense that led us to those wins. And we really just talk about replicating the same thing that we had last year that led us to those wins. Not so much about them or their team, but just so much about what we do as an offense, and that we need to be our best, just like we were last year, to be able to beat them twice. And if we can just do the same thing, then we will be good.
You have any quarterbacks in college or the pros that you watch to try and take things from their games, JC?
Yes, sir. I'm a big fan of like Josh Allen. I like how physical Anthony Richardson is, and I just take in like the ability to make plays like Patrick Mahomes. Those are like my top three. I just take bits and pieces from each of them and try to combine them into one.
Awesome. Well, best of luck on Friday night. Certainly we'll be listening because the game will not only be on my TV 30, it'll be here on 104.5 The Zone as well. And thank you for taking some time. Now enjoy your lunch.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's Brentwood High School quarterback there with us, J.C. White.
Big game. Always a big game when Ravenwood and Brentwood get together, especially when they're playing for a region championship and Ravenwood playing for its second undefeated finish in a regular season in program history.
Say some more things so I can find the copy that I'm supposed to read.
So Christian Capozzi is going to be on the call this weekend, Friday night on 104.5 The Zone for Brentwood Ravenwood. Brad Hopkins will be back on the call as well. I will be on with Bruno Reagan on my TV 30. So same drills last week. You turn the game on your TV. You put myself, Bruno Reagan, and Sammy Kincaid from the TV call in your left ear. You put Christian Capozzi and Brad Hopkins on the radio call in your right ear, and you don't miss a moment. No. From an electric finish to the regular season at Ravenwood High School between the Bruins and the Raptors. Real quick, let me shout out some big-time performances from Week 10 around high school football. Go ahead.
Before you do that, I will remind you that game on 104.5 The Zone is the 104.5 The Zone High School Football Game of the Week, which always features one of the best Middle Tennessee matchups each Friday. You can tune in this Friday starting at 6:45 p.m. on 104.5 The Zone. Special thanks to John Deere and Tennessee Highway Safety Office, as well as Whataburger and the Tennessee Orthopedic Alliance. All right, proceed.
There it is. Joseph Derrick of Father Ryan. He was 21 of 24 for 439 yards and 6 touchdowns in their 45-14 win over Christian Brothers. Caleb Sams, the Hendersonville quarterback, 16 of 21 for 315 yards and 3 touchdowns in a big win over Lebanon. Mitchell Grandjean of Page, Memphis commitment. He was 10 of 12 for 242 yards and 2 scores. Also had 97 rush yards and a touchdown in Page's big win over Centennial. And that sets up a big Region 6-5A championship between Page and Nolensville this coming Friday. So some big performances across the state of Tennessee. And then last one, Locke Kennedy of BGA, 123 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns on only 3 catches in BGA's 55-14 win over Webb School Bell Buckle.
How about that for a top 3 by J.C. White? Allen, Mahomes, and Richardson.
Yeah. Loves the physicality.
Fair enough.
The difference is White can take plays off because Brentwood runs a dual quarterback system. Richardson does not have that luxury.
Coming up next, more of your phone calls, and Brian Callahan asked on why Titans fans should trust their vision at 1-6. We'll talk about it coming up next.
12:01. Good afternoon. I'm Lucas Panzica from the 104.5 The Zone studios. Week 8 in the NFL wrapped up last night. The Steelers are 6-2 after a 26-18 Monday Night Football win over the Giants as we move to Week 9. The Tennessee Titans are 1-6, and they get ready to come back home to host the New England Patriots. Brian Callahan said yesterday in his press conference they are optimistic to maybe get Will Levis back on Sunday. They will see how he feels when the Titans hit the practice field tomorrow. World Series, the LA Dodgers have a 3-0 lead over the Yankees after a 4-2 win at Yankee Stadium on Monday. Former Vanderbilt pitcher Walker Buehler pitching 5 innings. He gave up just 2 hits, no runs, and struck out 5. And the Nashville Predators fell in overtime Monday, 3-2 at the Tampa Bay Lightning. Steven Stamkos with a pair of assists in his return to Tampa. Preds will host the Oilers on Thursday. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Welcome into the show. Welcome back to the show, rather. The final hour upon us. Your phone calls, we'll get to them. 615-737-1045, because a lot of you want to chime in on the Titans head coach, Brian Callahan, and some things he had to say yesterday. What we're going to focus in on here, first and foremost, is how much do you trust this organization, the people put in place by this organization to try and shepherd you into a new era of Titans football? Because right now the new era is 1-6, and things feel pretty lousy. Your phone calls are welcome, as are your comments via the F&M Bank chat, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. If you would like to chime in or chirp there, you can do so. There are two different conversations, trusting the front office and trusting the coach. Though the front office did hire this coach after moving on from the previous coach, so I guess, all things are tied together. We put it on a poll at Buck Rising. You can vote on the polls every day, and we will do super polls today.
Super polls. I got to do it a cappella. It's back there somewhere.
Feels a little less. No, that's not it either. But at least A for effort. Put it on a poll. What is the phrasing of the poll?
What is your level of trust in the Carthon/Brinker/Callahan regime right now? The options were high, trust the process, wavering, fading fast, and 0. 33.4% of the audience so far are on wavering. 28.5% say they're fading fast. 23.3% say they are still high, a high level of trust, and 14.8%, the fewest amount of votes, saying 0.
That feels appropriate at 1-6. That you're not out, but you're fading. So it's probably a different conversation, because I bet now, what do you think people are more down on, the coach or the front office? Because it's probably the coach. If I had to guess. I don't know.
I think probably. The front office made the moves that people wanted them to make in the offseason.
And the coaching staff hasn't done anything with the players that were brought in.
Drafted well last year. Obviously, this front office did bring in the quarterback that has struggled, but there was also a lot of context around. Nobody can say with any pure degree of certainty that Will Levis was Rand Carthon's quarterback on that night in the second round.
It is a very convenient thing to have,
sure.
if you are by title the general manager at the time that quarterback is drafted.
But the situation he walked into with the draft board already set and Ryan Cowden in place and Mike Vrabel in place and the owner mixed in, you can't say with any degree of certainty. But now that he doesn't get that, right? Will Levis is assigned to Rand Carthon.
Yep. Some funny comments on YouTube. Taylor says the only person I trust in the Titans organization right now is Morgan Cox. Somebody also adds the only one I trust associated with the Titans is NWI. Those feel like the most reliable parts and pieces that you have right now. But let's stick with the Carthon, Brinker, Callahan regime. So Brian Callahan is asked about why fans should trust them. And this is what Brian Callahan has to say.
Well, I mean, again, I've said this before, but I think the definition of faith and trust is believing in something you don't have any proof of at the moment. And right now we don't have proof. We have nothing tangible to show for what our process is, how we do things, because it's a production-based business and a results-based business. We're 1-6, and that is what it is. But I do have faith in where we're headed, and I do have faith in how we go about our business here and what that's going to bring for us. So I'm not asking you guys to trust me necessarily, but I know that I have trust in the people that I'm working with and what we're doing and how we're doing it.
So those are two different conversations, right? Fans and, should we lump fans and media in together on this, on how much you trust the organization and get it right? Because we're probably more aligned than not. Like, I would probably agree with that poll that I'm fading on my level of trust at 1-6. It would be impossible to say anything but that. And it could also be so that Brian Callahan still has faith in, despite the results or lack thereof, that he feels like the process that they're trying to implement is the correct one, even if you haven't seen the dividends just yet. You're not halfway through the season yet. It would be too quick to bail on any experiment. So I think both of those things can be so at the same time. What would it take for Brian Callahan to regain or to start to earn back, not regain, but to start to earn back some of that trust? Would a win? Or does it just simply being competitive right now? Is the bar so low at 1-6 that even, a win against, we're talking about the New England damn Patriots this week, which are terrible also. So you're talking about two of the worst teams in football. The expectation should be to beat the Patriots, coming in here and get your first home win of the season, which is still ridiculous to say. It would take more than just a win, though, for me to start to have a higher opinion of the coaching staff because of who the opponent is. Like, I know it's hard to win at any point in the NFL, but not only have they been losing, they've been getting their doors blown off. So it's going to take more than just a win against another lowly team for the tide to turn meaningfully for me personally. I can't speak for the fans.
It's going to be interesting if that does happen, because then you have the portion that are upset they're not losing out for the draft pick, right, for the quarterback.
Yeah, but that's nonsense.
But I agree with you. No, proof of concept, I think, is more important. I think it's more important than whatever gamble you're going to make if you are to move forward by drafting a quarterback next year. So, yeah, you want to see them overcome some things, right? Like, things are going to be bad all year. Like, right tackle is not going to get fixed this season, right? That's going to plague the offense. Like Nick Holt said last week, it's going to ripple out and affect almost everything on the offense. But you want to see them figure out a way to overcome some of those things, too.
Oh, sure. It's the same thing I said about LaFleur. Like, I knew Matt LaFleur was the right person for the job that he had at the time, whether or not I knew he was going to be a good NFL coach or not. But I knew it immediately, because in week 2, he won a game with 2 backup tackles, 2 4th and 5th string tackles in Merritts and Pomfield, and Blaine Gabbert at quarterback. And I remind you that it took some trickeration on special teams and some different kind of things and a great defensive performance to survive that. But still, like, Matt LaFleur got the job done with a less than ideal circumstance as a play caller. I would like to see proof of concept that this coaching staff is capable of doing the same thing.
We'll see if Drake May plays. He left the Jets game with a concussion on Sunday, and Jacoby Brissett came in. If May can't go, we are one snap away from a potential Joe Milton versus Will Levis at Nissan Stadium on Sunday.
You got what you wanted in the Lions game. Hendon Hooker played in a Titans game. I thought that was going to send our phone callers spiraling for a whole nother week. But, yeah, the Joe Milton, thank God. Joe Milton versus either of them would be a tough watch. That would be who's got the game this week? CBS? I'm not certain of that.
Probably. The AFC matchup. AFC yeah, for sure.
I just can't even imagine how CBS would try to market that with DeAndre Hopkins on the Chiefs now and nobody else to put on the graphic. Tune in to watch who? Tony Pollard? Jeff Simmons on a bad elbow? Like, what are we talking about here? Who makes the graphic? Is it the coach? Is it the damn mascot? They're going to run a T-Rack. I saw the amount of T-Rack jokes being made about T-Rack also requesting a trade or something like that over the weekend. 615-737-1045, the number. Let's go to Ethan. Hey, Ethan.
All right. So, one thing I wanted to say is if anything, now y'all might disagree with this, and I might get hammered for this, but I'm just gonna say it, man. If anything, I thought that Will, like the whole notion that this year was all about Will is kind of stupid to me. If anything, we should be evaluating our coach more than anything. You know, like the year that Mike Vrabel comes in, even with the terrible roster that we had, he still kept games close. Like there was something that we could look at and be like, oh, this dude could be good here in the future. But with Brian Callahan, there's really nothing that we've seen. Like with special teams, or just like the whole operation in a whole, there's nothing that we can look at and be like, yeah, this could be good here in the future. But Mike Vrabel, the first year he comes in, you know, it kind of sparked everybody's interest in the Titans. And then another thing is with Will, you know, him getting hammered every single game that he plays in and everything else, it's like, when are we going to start and look at, you know, do we even want to draft another rookie quarterback and put him in this position when Will was already here and proved last year that he could be good with 2 games, with like the Miami game and the Falcons game.
Thank you for the call, Ethan. I appreciate it. Vrabel had a team that won a playoff game the year before. So Mike's roster was not as down tremendous as this one was when Brian Callahan was hired as the Titans head coach. But I will say, like, I get your larger point, which is it shouldn't just be about Will Levis. It should also be about the coaching staff that was marketed as the people who can make him better and haven't, and have made him worse. Or he looks worse. I won't say have actively made him worse. They have tried to improve him, and it hasn't worked. There is some differentiation between those two things. The other part of that is, you know, do you want to draft a rookie quarterback as opposed to bringing in Levis? Either way, I think you make a quarterback change. Like, somebody different should be playing quarterback, should be starting at quarterback for the Titans in 2025. Whether it's a rookie or a veteran, I'm more on the train of thought of let somebody else do the rookie experimentation. You've done it enough here in the last couple of years. Go out and find one while you've got the financial flexibility to go out and get one. I'm more in favor of that, but I think the option that you're presenting, which is try and see something else from Levis, with he'll have 2 more seasons on his rookie deal under team control after this one. There is no 5th-year option on a second-round pick. If they decide that a quarterback change is the best thing for all parties, then Will Levis should try to be moved off this roster. Take more of your phone calls coming up next. And also, do the Vols need to go 11-1 to make the college football playoff securely? We will get into that. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. Phone calls are up next, 615-737-1045. Show is fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. We'll get into some Vols talk because the nightmare scenario that Lucas laid out lives on. Do you regret rooting against the fun and joy that is the Indiana Hoosiers, the best team in college football, even though the rankings do not reflect it, and it is a crime that they did not move up a single spot by remaining undefeated with a backup quarterback? Shameful.
Yeah, there's plenty of crimes. I don't know that Vanderbilt should have dropped out of the top 25. Mizzou shouldn't be ranked.
That's a crime.
And I don't know that Texas needed to drop a spot for winning an SEC game on the road against a team that's already beaten a top 5 opponent. But what do I know? It doesn't matter. CFP rankings come out a week from today. The most important thing happening a week from today.
Oh, my God. Is that all on the same day? Are you kidding me? CFP, trade deadline, and election day?
Yeah, and you appropriately ranked the importance of those things.
That's miserable. By the way, speaking of things that are not miserable, speaking of things that bring joy, Toy Field. Save the date. 104.5 The Zone will build a field of toys to benefit Salvation Army's Forgotten Angels on December 10th at Nissan Stadium. Anybody in the Middle Tennessee area is invited to stop by, where we will be broadcasting from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. to donate and help fulfill the dreams of thousands of kids and adults this holiday season at the 17th annual Toy Field Toy Drive presented by First Horizon Bank. For more information, go to 1045thezone.com today. All right, before we pivot to college football, let's keep it on the Titans. You guys want to chime in? Let's go to T-Dog next.
What's up? Hey, guys. I called a while back, Buck, when you guys were on the show with, I think it was Blaine, and talked about how the Titans were going to be pretty challenged with their schedule, and I thought they'd probably be about 1-6. I'm going to turn the ship around real fast and let you know that you can look at your Titans and look a lot better, because it can't get worse than it looked this past week with that defense. It was an apparition. I think the Titans are going to turn it around, man, and the AFC South is right before them. I know I sound goofy, but I'll call back again and let you know once I see them get the next couple of wins, and they'll beat the Patriots, and then it's going to be on for the AFC South. So we'll do well, and I know the music's going to come on in a second, but I just want to say he looked horrible before. But when we look at the ghost of Atlanta in that game, there is hope. So I got a feeling they're going to turn it around. Coaching can't get worse, so it's got to get better. All right, thanks, guys.
Look at that man. He probably had a stopwatch on him. You're crazy.
Hey, you know what, though? It's a nice change of pace around here.
No, it is, for sure.
I'll take it.
It can be unhinged. It can be delusional. We can ask you what drugs you're taking. But yes, I like the joy. I like the optimism. You're right. I shouldn't be so quick to shoot down somebody who just is still hopeful at 1-6. Well, would beating the Patriots put the AFC South on? By the way, you'll notice that he chuckled in the middle of that, so I don't even think he was believing half the stuff that he said. But that's fine. 2-6 and beating the Patriots would not necessarily put the league or the division on notice, because the division is not in hand. Houston has to survive a really difficult schedule. But you're chasing the Colts right now, who are 500. You're chasing the Jags, even though the Jags are terrible. They do have one more win on you. So at best, you're jockeying for third place. And okay, listen, if you get out of the basement and you find a way to be better than the Jags, at least that's some sign of progress. So I will grant you that. But it would take more than beating the Patriots. You do have a bunch of AFC South games still left on the schedule. So if you wanted a quick change and to try and at least give yourself proof of concept against your division, you have 5 more opportunities to do so here in the next couple of weeks. So also, I would like to know where you are getting the stuff that you are taking for that level of optimism, because that sounds like a much better place to exist than the
Just
place
let somebody be positive. Come on. Keep it moving.
Ernie's next. All right, good talk.
That's great.
Somebody say my name?
Oh, yep, sure did.
Am I on the air?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I called yesterday, but it wasn't on your show. It was on Blaine. It was on Blaine and them show. And I wanted to mention the fact that, we let so many good people go. And that we don't seem to recognize that they're good. And I was just thinking, and I know that when we had Vrabel, he had brought in an assistant offensive coordinator to help out one we had. And then he had also done that with the year or so before with the defensive person. And I was trying to mention the fact that, before we let Levis go, we need to get a real quarterback coach. A real quarterback that does some coaching. And I was mentioning the fact.
All right, thank you for the call, Ernie. That's 60 seconds on the clock before the Oscars music. Yeah, they brought in they have passing game coordinators. So Vrabel did expand his staff the last year that he was here, right? They moved a bunch of pieces around. They brought in Charles London as a passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach. They have that here now. Like, they have as big a staff as Mike did in his final year. So those ancillary coaches to the coordinators do exist. Bo Hardigree is a real quarterbacks coach. He played quarterback VFL, famously, Bo Hardigree. So not sure what your standard for real quarterback coach is, but the head coach has also been a career quarterback coach prior to becoming an offensive coordinator. So not only do you have one quarterback coach on staff, you have two, theoretically. Now, your point is well made about letting some good people go. Like Khalif Raymond is a good example of that. Could the Titans have benefited from keeping Khalif Raymond in their wide receiver core at some point? Maybe, but they were cap strapped at the end of the Tannehill thing because of Julio Jones. So there are reasons why people had to be moved on from here, and they did a bad job replacing them. Can be as simple as that. Darrington is up next. Hey, bud.
What's happening, Captain? I'm going to make it real quick. I blame Rand Carthon for Awuzie. How many games has he played? Why do you go get players that's hurt prior or have an issue? Snead, he had an issue in Kansas City with his knee. And you paid him big money. I blame Rand for that. As far as his personnel, I think the only thing that will probably save Will Levis is Cliff Kingsbury. Did you see what Mariota did when Jaden Daniels went out? He looked like he was a quarterback again. Just saying. I agree with you. Maybe going to go get a quarterback that's already been playing. I'm thinking maybe, hey, how about Justin Fields? He's on a one-year deal in Pittsburgh. Why don't you just bring him in? Then maybe possibly, because everybody's going to be back and forth about should we draft a quarterback? Why? If you know your line ain't going to protect, go get you another lineman. Maybe you go get Travis Hunter then. Go get some explosive. At this point, I think it's about getting more feet in the seats, or versus winning at the current moment. I know you want to win, but you got to build up. So maybe that'd be something to build into. When they make mistakes on players, they let them go. Sometimes you make mistakes on coaches. You have to let them go. I watched the pivot. Rex Ryan looks like he might be something you would go look at. I'm just saying, full circle, Buddy Ryan,
Thank you for the call, Darrington. You know the rules, though, and we even gave you 10 extra seconds on that. The Cheeto contract. Cheeto Awuzie has played in 3 regular season games. He played at Chicago and then the 2 home games before he was put on injured reserve with an injury. And, I get his point. I made the same point myself, or posed the same question this offseason. Do you really want to commit that much guaranteed money to corners on second contracts? It's just a very high variance position. And, it will frustrate people when players who cost a lot of money, essentially, have a lot of variance in their performance, and corners typically do. The rest of it, it's going to take them some time to get this thing right. But coaches around the NFL are not getting that much time. They're getting about 3 years. I don't know how much better the product needs to be in year 2 for you to extend a level of patience to Brian Callahan and his coaching staff. Right now, patience is fading. Understandably so. Patience is either fading or people have checked out. That's kind of the 2 areas of existence, or people are still interested because they want to know what draft pick the Titans are going to end up with when we finally get to that point in, God help us, April. Can we talk college football? Speaking of things that make people happy, can we talk about college football, please?
Yes, because as you were talking to Darrington and Ernie and so on, I was sorting through the SEC standings and looking at the remaining schedules of the top 6 teams in the SEC standings. Because the more I look at it, the more I think Tennessee is going to have to go 11-1 to make the college football playoff and beat Georgia in Athens. The more I think 10-2 is not the shoo-in that we thought it might have been previously. This was pointed out by Stuart Mandel, also of The Athletic. In looking at Tennessee's schedule this year, they've been done 0 favors by their opponents and strength of schedule. We thought that a win over NC State would be a good mark on Tennessee's schedule. We thought a win at a top 15 Oklahoma team would be an impressive resume-building win on Tennessee's schedule. Neither of those are. Tennessee is on track to have finished the season playing 4 teams that will finish their seasons with a record of 500 or better. Can you guess the teams, Buck?
Just tell me.
Okay. You're probably right.
What a bad idea by you.
Yeah, Georgia.
Can you guess the teams?
Would have been fun to expose you. Georgia, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Alabama. If Tennessee were to lose to Georgia and beat Vanderbilt, something that, again, 2 weeks ago, we were sitting here saying that'll get you in, they would be 2-2 against the 4 teams on their schedule with a winning record. NC State is not good. They're 4-4. They were supposed to be the sleeper team in the ACC. Grayson McCall, their quarterback, is medically retiring, and their season has just kind of gone down the drain. Oklahoma will be lucky to be 6-6 at the end of the year. I mean, they're staring right down the barrel of a 500 season under Brent Venables. So neither of those wins are really resume builders. And if Tennessee loses to Georgia, Alabama will really only be that marquee win you can place up there. And look, a win at Vanderbilt is absolutely no slouch at this point. But what happened?
Two, Stephon Diggs is out for the year, and the Colts are rolling with Joe Flacco. Is that enough to shake things up in the AFC South?
AFC South 2 for there.
Yeah. So, Stephon Diggs suffered a torn ACL during Sunday's game versus the Colts. Will miss the rest of the season. Sources tell NFL on Fox. That's courtesy of Jordan Schultz. The other is on the Richardson situation, where you have Tom Pelissero saying the Colts are benching last year's number 4 overall pick, Anthony Richardson, and will start Joe Flacco at quarterback Sunday night against, the Vikings. If I'm Flacco, I'm going to be like, all right, put him out there for another week and then let me get a start. That's big.
That's the right move for the Colts.
Hell yes. You remember Cam Wolfe? I was thinking about this the other day because we had our buddy Cam Wolfe of the NFL Network on after the Dolphins game. And I believe you asked him the question. I don't think it was my question. Which of the Titans or the Colts is more likely to bench their year 2 starter? And Cam said definitively the Titans, because we all knew that the AR experiment was going to be pretty up and down. And I'm not saying that to kill Cam or anything like that. Like, it made sense. But the Colts are 4-4. They can still make some noise in the division. If you're on the fringe and trending towards the halfway point and you don't trust this Richardson thing, all right, let's go Flacco.
Well, we talked about just last week about the idea of if the Titans were to continue to play Levis when healthy over Rudolph, despite the argument that maybe Rudolph gives you the better chance to win, would that impact the locker room negatively? And I didn't think so, because I didn't think there's enough of a separation, right? Is the locker room going to revolt because Mason Rudolph isn't starting games? But in Indianapolis...
Well, it depends, maybe. The receivers might.
In Indianapolis, Sid, that's a different situation. That is a team that is right in the thick of things, and one quarterback has very clearly given you a better chance to win, while the other has significantly hampered your offense. So that's the right move, right?
Diana is saying the Indianapolis coaching staff met this morning and made a decision to switch the quarterbacks. Joe Flacco is back officially. It is the correct decision. It felt like it was certainly open for discussion as soon as Shane Steichen is quoted as saying, yeah, we're evaluating everything right now. And I don't know how you can't. Okay, so this feeds into how much time should they get? How much time should the quarterbacks get? How much time should the coaches get? You know what Shane Steichen is saying? Oh, I need to make a decision because this is going to start reflecting poorly on me. I'm
Absolutely.
the guy who's supposed to be able to do something with the number 4 overall pick. I need to make a change because I know that I can win with Joe. And right now I actively cannot win with Anthony Richardson. And Irsay is one of the more, we'll call him erratic owners in the league. And he's probably sick of this stuff too. I think I need to look this up to be certain, but I think that the Colts have not hosted an AFC championship game, or excuse me, a home playoff game since the last time they won the division, which I believe was 2014.
They've got all sorts of crazy streaks like that. It was 2014 also the last time they won in Jacksonville, a losing streak that continues as they lost in Jacksonville a few weeks ago.
The most embarrassing losing streak in the NFL.
I don't know what Anthony Richardson was supposed to be. He is such a good example of this warped expectation that we have for young quarterbacks because they have the traits being good quarterbacks and just ignoring the learning curve.
Who's the we?
That's going to come.
NFL coaches? It should, because I think you're right, but to hear you say that just now, I almost feel like you're talking about people outside of NFL coaching. No, the NFL coaches are also warped this way.
Yeah.
For NFL front offices are warped. Like this is something when we talk about, hey, I can fix him, it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy. I try to place myself knowing this news 2 years ago in October of 2022, someone coming to me and saying, hey,
Levis and Richardson.
It's going to be breaking news that midway through the year in his second season in the NFL, Richardson's getting benched. He was a starter on an NFL team. The guy I just watched throw 3 picks yesterday, a starter on an NFL team who got hurt. What happened? That's where we're at with the quarterback position right now.
615-737. I hate to interrupt your Vols thing because I know you just tweeted out the link, and I know you hate when we tweet out links and we don't actually talk about the things that we
tweet out the link.
We'll do it tomorrow.
And then Stephon Diggs done is big news.
That is big news, which is why that Colts quarterback change is important, because the Colts are looking at that and being like, the AFC South is still in play for Indianapolis. Still very much in play for Indianapolis, even though they just lost the head-to-head. They lost it by 3, and they had a touchdown taken off the board. They almost beat the Texans on Sunday.
So Texans without Diggs and Nico Collins against the Jets on Thursday.
Let's go to Dan up next. Hey, Dan.
Been listening all season to you guys and listeners prognosticate all the Titans' woes and all that. And I'm not a Titans fan. I'm a Carolina Panthers fan. And just from an outsider's perspective.
Are you well? Are you okay? Dude,
yeah, I'm a Panthers fan. This is like common. So have y'all ever accepted the fact that like you guys might be a poverty franchise that are, mostly always going to be bad unless you get that transcendent player? Like we had Cam Newton, you guys had Steve McNair.
Yeah.
Like you guys started in the 90s, had some early success, just like the Jags, just like the Panthers. You guys just need to accept that you guys are one of us, and you guys need to get really lucky in the draft. And also, Will Levis, is that not just Taysom Hill light? Why don't you guys just do that with him? He's a good athlete. And then third, Buck, I'm mad because you've been gatekeeping Indiana against the spread. They're like one of the best in the country. So don't think people don't recognize that.
Oh, he didn't know that, Dan. I promise you.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
It's not gatekeeping. It's just ignorance. Okay. Multiple fronts. Panther fan telling Titans fans, you should just accept that you are also like us in a poverty franchise. No, because you have David Tepper. Like David Tepper makes that worse. And which I would understand why you would say, yeah, just accept it.
To the Taysom Hill thing, James Franklin's up at Penn State going, that's what I did. Right?
Yeah. And also, I saw Emory Hunt of Pro Football, or excuse me, of CBS Sports call Will Levis Bluegrass Bortles, and it sent me through the roof. It's one of the funniest things I've ever heard. Except that they're a poverty franchise. I will say that they have had more poverty in their Titans era since they became the Titans, but the Houston Oilers history also is their history, so I would not describe that history dating back to 1960 as poverty. They do get it as a part of that. Now, I will say that Titans trend more towards poverty than they don't in 26 years, so I would absolutely accept that, and that's basically everybody. You're just hoping you get lucky on your draft analysis and hitting on a generation, or I don't even want to say generational player. I'm trying to break myself of that, on hitting on the guy that's going to cover up the rest of it, right? Because it's not just about, okay, you have a good team as soon as you get the quarterback right. No, you get the quarterback right, and then he covers up all the places that you're deficient. It can cover up bad coaching. It can cover up bad ownership. It is that. So that part I do agree with him on. Mike is next. Mike.
Hey, how y'all today?
Good.
I don't think we're really as far away as it appears to the naked eye. You look at all the new coaches, new players that all came in this year. That's a lot to try to put together in 1 year. I don't think this offense is that far from figuring out. We got a defense that can keep you in games. I think hopefully when Levis comes back, maybe he'll decide he wants to be a starter and protect the ball a little bit more. But I don't think we're really that far away from being a winning team.
Well, you sound like your coaching staff, and I don't dismiss that optimism, but I will say that the offense is still pretty far away if you're averaging less than 2 touchdowns per game. They are currently 25th in the NFL with 1.9 touchdowns per game. So
Right. But I think if you take the interceptions away and you take the horrible special teams play away, I think we have a better record than we do today for sure.
Well, yes, obviously, but you can't because that's a part of your team. But I understand what you're saying. Thanks for the call. Well, more of your phone calls coming up next. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Unlock your engine's maximum performance with Castrol Edge Full Synthetic. It protects for 20,000 miles between oil changes and is 3 times stronger than the leading full synthetic motor oil. For a limited time, you can get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge at O'Reilly Auto Parts and receive 3 times O Rewards points plus a $15 O'Reilly gift card after rebate. O'Reilly Auto Parts is celebrating the 25th anniversary of their famous jingle, and they want you to be a part of the celebration. They want you to submit a cover of the jingle, a remix, or your own choreographed dance to win exclusive merch and prizes, including 3 $5,000 grand prize winners from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Submit your video to O'ReillyJingleContest.com now through October 31st. Terms and conditions do apply. No purchase necessary. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Stephon Diggs is done for the year. Anthony Richardson is riding pine. Joe Flacco is the new starting quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, and that all happened in the last 10 minutes. Titans are still 1-6. Colts think they got a shot at least pushing the Texans for the division. Does this mean that Houston will try and acquire another piece before the trade deadline? Because we have one more game before the NFL's trade deadline a week from today, as a matter of fact.
Trying to bring in a receiver, you're saying?
Can I interest you in a Calvin Ridley? No, they wouldn't take that contract. Can I interest you in a Traylon Burks? You can trade players while they're on injured reserve, though that would not solve their problem.
I was going to say, yeah, you want somebody to come in and contribute, right?
Nick Westbrook-Akina, but Titans fans would riot.
Yeah.
Riot.
Don't take him away.
Please, God, no. Not the Honda Accord. 615-737-1045 is the number. Lucas and I were just talking about this because Richardson is such an extreme example of Josh Allen. We're not that far removed from Josh Allen getting drafted as a quarterback that was not good in college but could become something in the pros. Richardson is the most athletic quarterback to ever test at the NFL Combine. That does count for something. So I get what happened with Indy. But that the experiment is over. I mean, he made it farther than Bryce Young, the number 1 overall pick. Will Levis is, I mean, the idea that Will Levis is the second best quarterback out of that draft class.
Young, Richardson, Levis. You're saying Levis is second best?
Stroud.
Well, Stroud, yeah, obviously Stroud is number 1.
Young, Richardson, Levis.
I don't know.
Spot the lie.
Has Levis been better than Richardson?
Yes.
Richardson has flashed more than Levis.
Yeah, he does the falling off his back foot 70-yard pass thing.
Yeah.
But
he's done
as a quarterback, Will Levis has been a better quarterback than Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson has been more spectacular in moments.
Okay. So very low bar we're talking about.
Man, that's what I'm saying. I just say, if I told you that they drafted the second best quarterback in that class and that they would be 1-6, you'd, again, like that caller, ask me what kind of drugs I was taking.
And Bryce Young's unquestionably been the worst. Right?
Yeah. It's been bad. And it didn't look better on Sunday when he tried to go out there and play again. Let's go to Ryan next. Hey, Ryan.
It's a tiny bit better.
Hey, Buck. Hey, question on fantasy football, and you speaking of quarterbacks. So I had Anthony Richardson as one of my quarterbacks, and I got Jared Goff as another quarterback on my roster. But now I obviously Richardson's out. Do I pick up Flacco, or do I maybe pick up Stafford or even Winston that's out there available? Like what two would you carry on your roster out of those three that's available?
Start Goff.
Yeah.
Just in terms of him being steady, like he's not going to have those dips. He's not going to have the 350-yard games, but he's going to be extremely efficient, and you don't have to worry about his floor being as low as a guy like Anthony Richardson, who was the definition of boom or bust in terms of fantasy.
I also am 7-1 with Team Auto Draft. I forgot to Ryan has just now reminded me to check my my fantasy football results from this past week. I did not do it. I put up 128.1 points. Eat it. Do we have somebody on the zone doing fantasy football stuff?
Yeah, Jeff Malenhoff.
Yes. He says with the question mark at the end.
Do you not know this person's last name?
I've been going for a minute.
Okay. I'm looking to you for expertise, given that he's one of your colleagues.
He's one of your colleagues as well. We all work together.
Allegedly.
One big happy family.
So anyway, we are.
Jeff Malinoff is he's done a fantasy football show. The first one went up on YouTube 4 days ago. So go watch it on the Zone YouTube page and subscribe while you're there.
And I'm sure he will have more updates for you as a result. So there is good fantasy football information being done on the Zone because I don't know anything and I auto draft my team and I'm currently winning the Media League.
And Stafford, Jameis, or Flacco? I'd go Stafford. Yeah.
Stafford. Alan will be the last call of the day. Hey, Alan. What you got, bub?
Hello. Hey, I just wanted to say that we are the Carolina Panthers, except we do have a better owner, but maybe we just draft 8 quarterbacks and figure out if one of them's good, because that's the NFL. If you don't have a good quarterback, you ain't got nothing.
It's true. Appreciate the call, Alan. You do not have David Tepper. That is the one thing that separates you from the Carolina Panthers right now. Because you're literally the 2 worst teams in football. Polls.
Presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. What other position in football should have a national day? It was National Tight End Day on Sunday. Jack says punters. 2 times says long snappers. I say long snappers. There should be a National Long Snapper Day. Morgan Cox should get more love. There is not a more important position that gets less love than long snapper.
I agree. Morgan Cox is excellent. He's been excellent for a long time. Not enough people celebrate that. What national day is it today, as a matter of fact?
Oh, is there a national day today?
National Day calendar says that it is. It's National Cat Day.
Yeah, that's great for this show.
Yeah.
How would you feel about the Vols' chances to make the college football playoff at 10-2? 54.6% say it would be a toss-up. 31% still say they'd for sure be in. 14.4% say they got to be 11-1.
It feels like a toss-up, doesn't it?
The only sure way would be to beat Georgia and go 11-1. We can talk about it more tomorrow. What is your level of trust in the Carthon Brinker Callahan regime right now? 34% are wavering. 28% are fading fast. 22.7% still have a high level of trust. They say trust the process. 14.8% say zero.
I'm closer to fading fast than I am wavering, to be honest with you, because it feels like it's getting worse, even though they keep saying, oh, no, we're doing things better. I promise. Just trust us, 52-14. So I would probably be more in the camp of fading fast.
These are not determinations I'd be ready to make in year one. Would you rather see the Titans bounce back and show some proof of concept under Brian Callahan, or just lose out for the better draft pick? Oh, this is close. 51% say proof of concept. 49% say better draft pick. Very split.
God, October 29th, the national days are really speaking to me. National Oatmeal Day, I love oatmeal. National Hermit Day, I hate people. And National Cat Day, baby, we're cooking.
Those are the polls.
That's the show. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Off prime time tonight, Blaine and Zach coming up next. See y'all.
I love living in
the Tennessee Men's Clinic is here.
Great restaurants, entertainment, sports, and one of the nation's top Ford dealers right here in our backyard. Two Rivers Ford. Remember that name. Two Rivers has been a staple in our community since 1983. They're locally owned. They have a non-commissioned sales team, and they sell below MSRP. They've been doing business with integrity for decades. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.